And that's what I have been doing in the past 2.5 years since I've been out. One of the things that I did is I started out by being honest with myself. I read a book by a man named Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. And the first agreement was be impeccable with your word. Now when you say be impeccable with your word, a lot of people interpret that as when you tell somebody something to do it. I interpreted it as when I make a promise to myself, I will keep that promise. Because I've made a lot of promises to myself in the past, and I didn't keep them. I'd say, I'll never do that again, or I'll never go there again, or I'll leave that woman alone. But I always ended up doing it again. And that was my way of convincing myself that something I knew was stupid was a good idea. And I always ended up paying for it. Then I have an epiphany. I had the power to create my own reality. It didn't matter where it was. I had taken a dream life. In 1985, I was a salesman. I worked 3 days a week. I made $90,000 a year, which is barely a living wage now, but it was a lot of money in 1985. I had a Porsche. I had clothes. I had a wife and 3 children that I didn't see that often, and I had a string of girlfriends that I saw too much. All of this came down to a crash on me because I had a lot of other bad habits. I had a substance abuse problem. The only thing I liked better than carrying guns was shooting them. And so what ended up happening is I ended up shooting and killing a man and being sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. I have to apologize, I'm not used to working with notes. You know, everyone has a value as a human being. That is, unless you're convicted of a crime. And once you're convicted of a crime, you lose all that value. You have no value as a person whatsoever. And a lot of people that get out of prison, they go and they knock on doors and they try to reestablish their life, and they don't understand that the people behind the doors that they're knocking on don't care. As a matter of fact, the people that behind the doors they're knocking on wouldn't even know they exist if they hadn't shown up on the rolls of convicted felon. So I decided what I needed to do is I needed to create my own path. One of the things that happened for me that was fortunate is I met Scott. Scott came up at the request of Ray, who I'd known, because what we did is we started a Catholic centering prayer inside Folsom. When I was inside Folsom, I had given up on trying to get out of prison. I said, you know what? Because of the space-time continuum, you can't be in 2 places at one time. So wherever I was must have been where I was supposed to be. So I had to make the best of it. So I did everything I could to create that new reality. I had a dream life that I should have been happy with, but I was miserable. So what I did is I decided if I can take a dream and turn it into a nightmare, I can take a nightmare and turn it into a dream.